That was a quick photo montage of all that we've done across Africa for the last 20 years. We now are at day 2, and we have some fantastic sessions for you here again today. We're going to begin with a panel on future tech. What are some future technologies around the horizon, and how can we get up as businesses and as government leaders? We have a panel on uh, smart technologies for urban cities as well as rural connectivity. We have a 1 hour workshop on data infrastructure by Raxio. We have, based on input from you over the past few years, a session on sustainability and diversity, how to increase the gender quotient in the ICT sector. Also, in keeping with the feedback we got from you, we've had a panel on startup ecosystems, customer experience, and the creator economy. Many of us in this room, including myself, grew up in the analog era, but kids these days are growing up in a fully digital ecosystem. And the way they think about media, the way they think about starting a company, the way they think about quality, interaction, benchmarks of service is completely different from what you and I have had, many of us in this room. So we have a whole panel on that as well. And we end in fine style with a panel on national ICT strategies with insights from across different countries of Africa. But first, we're going to kick off with a panel on future tech. The future tech panel has as moderator Chidi Ajuzi. Let me invite Chidi to please come up on stage. We have Chidi. I saw him around a while ago. Yeah, there he is. Chidi is the group COO of WTES. He comes all the way to us from Nigeria. A round of applause, please, for Chidi. Also joining him will be Jonas Lemma, CISO from Hibret Bank. Jonas, if you're in the audience, yes, please come up on the stage. Also with him will be Waldelul Kasa, CTO of IWM Network Solutions. Will you also please come up, Waldelul? And also joining us from Kenya is Fiona Asonga, who is the CEO of TESPOK, Technology Services Providers of Kenya. She also was with us in the C2C summit earlier in Tanzania. She's going to join us now for this panel. And she's also joining us, by the way, for a special, yes, there she is. She's going to be joining us for a keynote on cybersecurity. We've talked a lot about the opportunities in the ICT era. There are also several risks and challenges, which is what she will address. She's coming on the stage even as we speak. Once again, 3 simple house rules. Ask questions. I want to thank all those of you yesterday who asked so many fantastic questions. To network with each other. You never know when that person next to you or behind you is going to be the next ICT minister, regulator, CEO, investor, who knows. And last but not least, have fun. We have lots of breaks, a good lunch session, and lots of areas for you to network and catch up on gossip and jokes and so on and so forth. But for the next 45 minutes, let's hand it over to Chidi and his panel to talk about what are some future technologies around the horizon and what can Africa do to benefit or even create some of them. Chidi, over to you. Thanks.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's always good to have the early sessions where we are still almost engaged. Okay, so this panel is supposed to look at the future of technology, where uh, we probably will be doing some hindsight into what had existed before now, provide some insight into what is, and perhaps also provide some foresight into what can happen based on what's already existing in the market space. Um, so I have this distinguished lady and gentleman here who will do justice to the topic. But just as some insight, what are some of the things that are happening, and what do we project could happen in the near future? I mean, there are so many large scale connectivity networks that have been built out. The more interesting ones will be the projections of zero latency connectivity, where of course we're talking about lightning fast internet, essential, which is of course essential, very essential for AI, 6G cellular, Wi-Fi 6 and 7, of course, low 8-orbit satellites, which already existing today, applied AI, digital trust technologies, and cybersecurity. There's a whole lot of ecosystem around autonomous connected electric vehicles. And then, of course, the big one, the data centers, cloud, and edge computing, which essentially powers AI. So I think I will start from with Waldy, actually. Are we technology, there's a whole lot of evolution that's happened. I have a group of friends who believe that the only revolution that has happened in technology was the first industrial revolution. Everything else to them has been an evolution. So, what's the future of technology?
Can you hear me? Well, the future of technology is like studying the cosmos. It's never ending. It's infinite. But the immediate future, we can tell. The elephant in the room, everybody talked about AI, 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 which I would like, I would have liked it defined a little bit more because our understanding of AI is more on data mining and a lot of LLM and algorithms to fetch sensible and reasonable data. But intelligence, oh, let's forget the artificial part, but first, intelligence is cognitive science, meaning machines learn to sense and think almost like humans. That's coming. That's here. It's not even future, but it's beginning. The future of AI is now more on data science and extracting data from data centers or from huge amount of information, but on teaching how machines learn and assist human beings. I mean, if you go to San Francisco, my son works across the Bay Bridge, I mean, the Golden Gate Bridge, and we meet for dinner at San Francisco. And the reason I go there is to ride the Waymo cab, driverless automatic taxis. They are I mean, they've taken away the jobs of the cab drivers, but it's fun to ride with them. The only thing is you can't ask them personal questions or anything, but they do everything you want them to do, including where to eat lunch or where is the best place to go for a drink. So that's mainly where AI is going. But furthermore, with quantum computing, the speed of computing is going faster than we think. In fact, last week, Microsoft announced it has designed a quantum chip, which is not semiconductor or superconductor, but topoconductor, where they excite photons. Moreover, there is also new technology on quantum computing, which is quantum teleporting, or Einstein and Schrodinger would have thought it was, or they thought about it like quantum entanglement. You shoot photons on existing fiber optics and get it on the other end with the speed of light. Well, we're not quite there yet to say, give me up, Scotty, like the Star Trek, but we're closing up. That's where I think future is going.
Okay. Thank you. Fiona, I think I'll come to you. In your space, how has technology evolved? How has technology evolved in your space, and what do you think is the future, especially in your own domain?
Uh,
It's Fiona, yeah.
Thank you very much. I think where we are at in terms of the continent and the region, technology is going to be the tool that is able that will enable African countries to leapfrog, to be able to catch up with the West. However, the technology that we are adapting, that we are innovating, because we've got a lot of African innovations that are being used within our space and being used also around the world. And all these innovations are a reflection to the scope to which technology can move us. We have already within, I think there are about 18 countries in Africa that have adopted a digital economy strategy. When you look at that document for each of the countries, they are similar. And all these countries are seeing technology as being the next transformative revolution that is happening within their social and economic space. Why? Because technology is now being used not just in the business space like it was before, but it's being used in our social spaces as well. When you look at the social media platforms and what they're able to do, for example, women groups in the rural areas and how those social platforms help them to access funding, to access support, to access medical help, the interaction of the rural health worker and the rural communities has been fast-tracked by the use of technology. So when you look at all these technological platforms and tools that are being developed, and then add in emerging technology like for example AI and robotics and machine learning and all these things, and you realize the space, like he's just said, there's no limit. There is so much that can happen, but it's going to be up to us to now begin to decide. And the limits of the technology will now be and are going to be, and already we can see this, is issues of ethics. And where do we draw the line? To what extent do we want to hand over power to the machines to decide and to conclude on issues? And to what level do we need to still maintain the human interaction? Because there is things a machine cannot do that are very human, for which we need a human being to do. For example, a smile. A machine will never give you that. And when you receive the smile, it makes you feel good.
Okay, interesting perspective. Johan, there is an issue around affordability of ICT services. As we keep evolving, I mean, new technologies are coming up. How do we bridge the affordability challenge, especially in the rural communities? Are we leaving the rural communities behind as we, for instance, in urban Addis, for instance, 3G comes in, you retrofit 3G to 4G to 5G. What happens to rural communities? Are we leaving them far behind? How do we address the affordability challenge for rural communities?
Uh, okay, thank you very much. Uh, actually, it's actually like uh, uh, when we say future technology, uh, we consider a different perspective, and mainly the tomorrow's technology has to consider of especially when it comes about speed and and affordability, one of the things, and its capability and security. It's all about tomorrow's technologies that has to offer. So when we consider all those things, if one of them is really less, then we don't consider it tomorrow's technology will serve. At the end of the day, the technology will serve the people. So for the people, time is available. So speed comes into play to deliver this, uh, uh, especially decision making, and even these days, the IoTs and even uh, autonomous, as you already raised, autonomous car that self driving cars. Those are depend on the speeds and all those infrastructures and the performance also, one of the things that it matters when it comes about the technology in the future, what it holds. When to make it affordable, this technology for underserved community, we should consider a different strategy to approach those limitations. For example, governments and business and individuals working together, maybe subsidizing and even the technology for the rural uh, communities. I remember even a long time back, I used to work on for this Waradanit project, which is a government connected in almost around 500 waradas to reach out for rural. Actually, the infrastructure was set mostly with the visa at that moment of time. Maybe I was talking about around 12, 15 years back. So uh, at that moment of time, and practically rural area used to access internet. Even they used to make IP phone calls and all those things. So the program was already, it was on place. I guess that is the way we approach to reach for rurals and make it affordable through the governments and different NGOs working together. That's what's happening.
Okay, Fiona, I think I'll come to you. So just looking at the horizon, what singular technology do you think will be provide some revolution in the market space? Perhaps you can also, and how do you think Africa will adapt to such technology?
If you'll allow me, I'd just like to add something on the rural
Sure, go
access
ahead.
and rural connectivity. I think one of the things that we need to do, and this has to be a conscious effort by both the regulators, the government, and the private sector investors, is to intentionally make sure that we are connecting the rural communities. In places where the terrain is rough, we maybe need to change our approach and not look at programs like USF and not always looking for donor funding, but can governments give incentives, open up the markets, give incentives to private sector investors who can go and roll out infrastructure in the rural areas? Because a donor will help you with the build-up, but they'll not do the maintenance. Then it's set up and we can't maintain. If we can't maintain our infrastructure, it becomes useless. It will just be a lot of junk being put up everywhere. So being able to have it owned by locals, opening up the market so that the locals can own. The community network approach is quite good in helping facilitate that. When we look at how we can be able to improve in terms of what technologies Africa should be looking at. Sorry about that. We are able to find that there is a lot of data that we have on this continent. However, our data is not on technology systems. So when we want to now be able to benefit from emerging technologies, one of the things that we need to be able to start off from is making sure that we can digitize all our data, digitize our processes. When we have that digitized, then Internet of Things begins to work. Then machine learning can happen. Then AI can work for us. And we can then be able to have our own AI that really works the way we like to do our things in this very communal continent. So, and the challenges with digitization is that there has not been a strong digitization agenda. Today, if, for example, I want to make an Ethiopian dish, I will check online. I will not find even just something like Ajera. I don't find how it is done. You see the final work, but you don't know the process of how it goes there. When you try to check and Google and YouTube, you don't get it. We are still keeping that kind of cultural information to ourselves. And as long as we're doing that, then we are losing the opportunity of getting data about ourselves online, which means even AI tools that are developed in the West have no idea that we even exist. So we're just there, but we are not there. And that is what we need to turn around. But that needs effort from us as the Africans, intentionally paying attention and doing something about it.
Thank you so much. Wajina, I think I'll come to you with the same question though. What technologies do you think will be predominant in the future, and how do you think Africa will leverage those technologies? What technologies do you think will be very predominant in the near future? Very predominant, and how do you think Africa itself will leverage on those technologies? What's the use cases you see that will happen in our continent?
Forgive me. I live in Silicon Valley, and my understanding of the African, the new word I heard, ecosystem, or the whole socio-economic relationship is beyond my pay grade. And forgive me for my own ignorance, but I can at least understand. I'm an Ethiopian. I grew up here and became an adult here, and I can relate to it. But the thing is, technology for Africa and particularly for Ethiopia has been always like chasing the dragon's tail. We're always at the end of it and trying to catch the tail and at least catch up with it. And it's never fun. I mean, I worked for 4 years in Silicon Valley and my kids grew up there. And imagine my brothers and sisters who were in rural areas in Ethiopia. You can compare it, and the disparity is beyond imagination. Now, the thing is, technology was never a social scheme to enhance society or take it out of poverty. It's purely an enterprise to make money, and it's driven by, I'm sorry to use the word, a little bit of greed. It's for profit. Every innovation is driven by trying to make money or something. And we here want to change society and make technology do something good for our people. But the innovators are not really thinking about that when they innovate or they create something. So we can always try to catch the tail and benefit out of the whatever we extract out of it, whether it is AI or it was used to be called IoT. I think it's already the past. It's not future technology. We can always do. It used to be called cloud. I think it's already the past. I think it's no more future technology. So we can always catch up. We can always try to adopt. But I think as long as we don't have the resource or the money, no donor will give you the amount of money to be in par with developed countries or with any advanced technical countries. I mean, the whole GDP of Africa is a little bit north of $3 billion. Apple alone is 3.7 billion. Forget Nvidia and Microsoft combined. They are over about 20 billion, like the Mag 7 companies. These companies became or amassed millions, billions, because they can sell products. They're not going to give us. How do we afford it? We have to catch the tail and try the best we can to live in this modern world, which is unfortunate for us.
Johan, I want your take on this as well, on what the future technologies you see, and then what's how can Africa leverage on those as well.
Um, I think this artificial intelligence and machine learning and all those things is happening right now. That is sound like uh, it's our future depending on this technology. I guess Africa, I mean Ethiopia can able to use this advantage to their economic growth and job creations and all those things. but this technology comes with advantage and with the opportunities and challenges as well at the same time. So by using artificial intelligence, even all the business concept has been changing, and even mm, as a bank, as I work in a bank actually, so mostly we are using, even already we have implemented machine learning, which is for cybersecurity program and all those things. So you can imagine how many people we should use to identify the trades and all those really critical issues going on in the financial, but mostly it has been done automatically by machine learning and all those things. So this is economically very cost effective. At the same time, it's really, we can identify the trades and instantly, and even we can at the same time also uh, uh, this machine learning can be used with negative context as well. These days is also the attacks comes along with artificial intelligence driven attack as well. So which is really becoming more challenging for us. So and overall, even this technology creates a new uh, kind of a job for the new generations with the for skilled professional. At same times for the people who are working on routine jobs, and the job has been, it's mainly vulnerable to be uh, replaced by this artificial the new technology, so that many people could lose uh, all jobs, which is mostly with the people working in manufacturing and maybe customer services and all those things. But it's really it's advantages for the skilled professional uh, using this new technology, and we able to uh, use technology for the growth of the economy, and even these days we use uh, banking service on online, and so, uh, customer service you get online from like chatbot and all those things. So at the same time, I see it as really an opportunity to grow. I see it as also a challenge for the grown, because already many people are in a need of work on and but see the package we get from the technology.
Okay, Fiona, you wanted to?
Yes. Okay. I think it's just important to be able to realize we are a continent where we have, when he was talking about San Francisco, we have a lot of our Africans out there. What is the thing that they do? Sending money home. So one of the ways in which we are finding emerging technologies are supporting and will continue to support is those fintech solutions that enable faster and easier ways of sending money home to our family members. And that then changes the entire banking ecosystem and how it works, and the Swiss banking laws and everything. Then there is the whole aspect of managing our health and our health systems within the populations. And that's another place where we're going to be able to see emerging technologies coming in and helping us significantly, so that then we are not always having to fly our family members from Africa to Europe or India for surgery, but we are able to get everything done locally using technology to support. And the other third area that is very critical to us is food security. We are a continent where we have so much food, but at the same time, we have so many people starving. And to be able to have solutions that enable us to have geospatial planning and management and trade between the countries and communities that allows for the food to be distributed across the billions of Africans. Those are the things, those are the places, three places I see there have been game changers using emerging tech to be able to enable us leapfrog. Like you said, there is no donor who's going to give us donations to make us reach where they are. And there is always going to be a fight to hold us back. But how do we counter it? We need then to look at it, look at everything within ourselves as a continent and how we can jump, leapfrog, catch up.
Okay, so one thing is that every new technology, whether it's an evolution or revolution, creates new opportunity frontiers, and it also creates challenges. And oftentimes the challenges become new opportunities. So the cycle continues. So yesterday at one of the panels, we did hear the talk around technology always being ahead of regulation. So how do you think governments and regulation or the governments or or the agencies themselves can help? I mean, what most governments tend to uh, look at new technologies from the risk basis, and oftentimes they also look at it on the basis of making money out of it, regulation in terms of licensing. How do you think governments can actually work with the industry to make sure the new technologies are deployed to the benefit of Africa, and not just about making money upfront from the operators and investors themselves in the technology space? I think I'll start with you, Weldon.
Uh, Honestly speaking, again, regulation laws, policies are, like I said, beyond me. I'm a lab rat, so I know technology and techniques, but when from where I come, regulation is a bad word in Silicon Valley. Apple hates it, Google hates it, Facebook hates it. That's where they are. But people have to be protected. Citizens have to be protected, and their livelihood has to be protected. In terms of what you alluded about risk, honestly speaking, technology has a way to mitigate all known risks, what we call in project management, known unknowns. Unknown unknowns, we don't have to worry about it. We don't know, we don't solve it, and that's okay. But most of these regulations, these policies are to minimize the negative impact on society, on people. And technology has a means to do it, except since techno monopolies, there are 7 or 8 of the big ones, they want to make money and they just don't want to be regulated. And I'm an Apple alumni. I've worked there forever, and I use Apple for all my life. And I trust Apple for my data. I don't even care if my iPhone is stolen. I know nobody can get into it. There is a way they can protect, and there are other things they don't protect, and that's because it minimizes their profit margin. Now, having said that, when we come to our continent, we have to be able to leverage our political, geographical, natural resources as a leverage to at least get our point of view and our something that benefits us. That's the way I see it.
You want to take, what's your take on that? And how regulators and governments can actually support the industry as we introduce new technologies as they evolve?
In my beliefs, even the regulator, the business people, and the expert has to work together. And somehow regulations become a little bit difficult to advance the technology So that is my perspective. I see it, if possible, regulations and at the same time the technology developments working side by side with together, maybe integrated in it. So those policies and those rules actually has to be mandatory, and if it is already set, the plant or the policies in the head, it's already, if it's known, I guess it would be much easier to integrate it as the logical concept of whatever the technology is developed. So it will be easier to control it, to work together, and to be more effective. That's what I believe in.
Fair enough.
Thank you for that question, because that is what I do for a living, getting government to work with private sector investors. Now, I think the one way that all governments will be able to help in advancing emerging technologies for this continent is, one, the ICT regulators need to be able to find a way of collaborating with other regulators, so that when you have an innovation that is, for example, in health, you're not going through an ICT regulator, then a health regulator. That becomes too many regulations, and sometimes you find there are areas where there is no harmony. They sort of contradict. So to be able to facilitate harmonization of regulations as well, so that collaboration is important. And how can this best happen? It happens when if the ICT regulator develops a regulatory sandbox for emerging technology, then within that sandbox, they bring in everybody. So all the regulators, all the innovations are handled through a sandbox before any new regulations or policies can be developed. It helps a lot to grow and deepen the use of emerging technologies, as well as identifying the pinpoints and where we draw the line in terms of these are the limits. And if it is, say, something that is going to be AI driven, these are the limits of ethics, and these are the ethical boundaries on health that need to be followed. So that helps a lot and should be able to enable us leapfrog.
Interesting. I think I'll talk to the audience. In terms of questions, if you do have questions that you need to ask the panel, there are questions from the audience. Can we, or comments from the audience? Can we look at those quickly? Uh, sure.
I just came at the right time. My colleague at the middle, the gentleman, told the Lul, I suppose. I think my twin from another mother, I would say that I really appreciate the comments and your point of view. We've been talking about digital divide, bridging the gap, rural connectivity over 20, 25 years. We had Millennium Development Goals. Nobody went back and checked what did that achieve. Right now we have SDG. I don't know honestly what that stands for. And yesterday, very interesting, the woman from ITU, International Telecommunication Union, she was pointing out we need $1.7 trillion to connect 2.6 billion people. Connectivity, as it was defined, is greater than 20 megabyte per second. So myself and my friend quickly did the calculation. 1.7 trillion divided by 2.6, it comes down to around 100,000 Ethiopian birr. So if you ask me, or if I'm a farmer in rural area, please give me that 100,000 birr today. I can feed my family. I can, do a number of things. Go clinic, hospital, and health. But my question is, or perhaps a challenge: should we throw out the old playbook that we're trying to catch the dragon, as the gentleman was saying? Good for us. You can't catch the dragon. If you do, that's even more problematic, right? So we've been chasing, 2G, then Wi-Fi, then cloud, BPO versus, AI. Now it's quantum computing and metaverse. Are we going to continue to chase, or are we going to throw out the old playbook and focus on, for Africa, the new deal? Frugal innovation. Yesterday, a gentleman from Mauritius said, very interesting. Should we look at frugal innovation, insourcing versus BPO, import substitution? We have Oracle Office 365, extremely expensive. That's what we're using. IBM. Should we focus on what we need, fit for purpose solutions? De-risking regulation. I know Silicon Valley hates regulation, but it's a necessary evil. Silicon Valley tries capitalize profit and socialize the risk. Right? When it is risk, they want government bailout. Should we focus on the New Deal for Africa?
Oh, that's a whole conference by itself. So,
Yeah. So
few quick responses.
So I think if there are more questions, so we'll just take all the questions together. Any other comments or question from the audience?
Any other questions? Yeah, two.
Okay,
one
so
here and one
let's
yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a very nice presentation and very interesting. So I do have some questions. How does AI enhance cybersecurity measures? What role does cybersecurity play in the development and the deployment of AI systems? And the other thing, what can adversarial attacks can affect AI models used in cybersecurity? And the other questions I have is, these days, most of us are using AI as a tool, for instance, like GPT, Gemini, DeepSeek, and so on. They are generating false information. So at first, why it is happening? Why the false information is happening or generating? The second thing is, who is responsible? The user, the companies, or who is responsible? Also, is it does it mean garbage in, garbage out, or what's happening? Thank you.
Great questions. We have a full keynote on cybersecurity. We'll come to that later. But yes, one last question.
Thank you very much. It's very nice and interactive panel. My name is Ahadu from Secret Africa Mentorship Program. So I'm not in a tech. So I have a freedom to say something which might be wrong. But from my perspective, I think AI is already missing the other AI. I don't know how you see it, especially the African intelligence is more missed in the current AI. And if you really ask me where the future tech is going, I would just say it will be in Mars. How can we transfer the people? And because we should always predict the future. That's where I say the African intelligence is missing, because now AI is already here. In many some years ago, we already remember, I think most of you see the RoboCop movie. That's where they train you. That's where they are telling you it's coming. So now we have AI here. But how ready are we as an African? Especially my brother were mentioning about the SDG 2030, but now we have also Agenda 2063. Last time in our AU meeting, I was mentioning that our leaders should be also ready to incorporate the AI to their agenda as well. So for me, especially when it comes to the African youth, we need to predict the future as we capacitate our youth. So I want to just ask a question. How do you see the African intelligence in the current AI? Thank you.
Okay, out of time, but we can take quick responses from each of you. Chidi,
So one, I think the major question is around AI, and then AI cybersecurity convergence, and then the question around do we keep chasing technology, or should we just step back and take a breather and see? What are we doing? So, Fiona, you want to talk around the our chase of technology itself? Do we just need to keep? That's Fiona.
I'll be very brief and quick on that.
Yeah, quick.
I don't think we should be thinking of chasing the dragon. I think we should be thinking of setting a trap to catch the dragon midway.
Nice one.
In a nutshell, basically what I'm saying is we have an opportunity not to follow the same steps everybody followed, but jump some steps and quickly catch up depending on how we use the technology, and we should go for it. Thank you.
Kowalden, you want to talk about the cybersecurity AI convergence?
cybersecurity, really, honestly speaking, there is always, technology has always a solution for all cyber risks. It's a matter of implementing it properly. In fact, cryptography and the way we're developing our chips with nanotechnologies to the atomic level, we can encrypt a lot of things and not be accessible with biometrics and other means of cybersecurity. But cybersecurity starts with you. You should not expect the telco or the technology companies to do all the things for you. It's your footprint in social media. It's your way of behavior in the internet that will get you affected. And in terms of personal information, you can always be susceptible as much as you allow people to see. If you look on the internet and dig about me, you probably won't find much. I'm not on social media.
Okay.
So there you go.
Thank you,
But
Warden.
in terms of, yeah.
Yeah. So you wanted to, Johan, quick, 1 minute.
Okay, just quick. In cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchains, and all those things really work together very nice. But it has to be specific, especially when it comes to about some services, or if you take banking. So the cybersecurity concern is not only technology, even the artificial intelligence is also based on data. So we should have a clean data to process it well, and the process, we should understand the process very well, and the technologies that we implement in the systems. So altogether, uh, we can make a more secure environment for the business, at the same time also for the end users, combining all those technology together.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe just I made some notes as we were summarizing. I made some quick notes. In the near term, 5 to 10 year term, uh, the technologies that we should look out for essentially would be AI, of course, machine learning, and edge computing. I mean, that's a given. Um, how can how can Africa get ready for this? First is to connect the unconnected. You can never have access or benefit from the technology you have no connectivity to. AI's big issue has always been the issue of ethical development, transparency, and mitigation of biases. We talked around robust regulatory oversight. Then, of course, local content. We should customize these services so that they can be adapted to a local environment. And how do we do that? We have to learn from other adoption communities outside Africa. And then, of course, very much importantly, we should also encourage local entrepreneurship and adoption. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much, the audience, for your
Big round of applause,
participation.
please, for Chidi and his panelists. Superb insight from the speaker. Very good questions from the audience. Day two has gotten off to a very good start. May I invite all four of you to come towards the front for a group photograph. And we also switch now to our next panel discussion. But once again, thanks Chidi, thanks Jonas, thanks Woldelul, and thanks Fiona for your very good insights on future technologies. Fiona has a full keynote address on cybersecurity for about 15 minutes in the afternoon. So you'll have very good insights from what's happening in this space. And Fiona, they've given you very good insights on what they want to hear about. I hope you will weave them